Have you ever noticed that the most attractive women in the room aren't always the ones wearing the most expensive clothes or following the latest beauty trends? They walk in, and somehow the room changes. People listen when they speak. They command respect without demanding attention. That's because true attraction isn't something you wear, it's something you become. Today we're going to explore 7 daily habits that transform not just how the world sees you, but how you see yourself. Because the moment you change your habits, you change your identity. And that's where real confidence begins. People often believe attraction begins the moment someone notices you, but in reality, it begins much earlier, before you speak, before you smile, and even before you leave your home. It begins in the quiet moments when no one is watching. The way you start your day determines the energy you carry into every conversation, every decision, and every relationship. If you begin your mornings feeling rushed, overwhelmed, or immediately comparing yourself to others, that mindset follows you throughout the day. But when you begin with purpose, something remarkable happens. You stop reacting to life and you start leading it. Purpose is different from having a long list of goals. Goals are important, but purpose is deeper. Goals tell you what you want to achieve. Purpose reminds you why those achievements matter. A woman who lives with purpose doesn't need constant reassurance because her confidence comes from knowing who she is, not from what other people think about her. She understands that her value isn't determined by compliments, attention, or approval. Instead, it comes from the person she chooses to become every single day. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing they must feel motivated before taking action. But motivation is unpredictable. Some mornings you wake up energized, while other mornings you don't. If your life depends on motivation, your progress will always be inconsistent. Purpose, however, is steady. It keeps moving even when emotions change. It reminds you that discipline matters more than feelings, and that small actions, repeated, consistently create extraordinary results over time. Imagine beginning every morning by asking yourself one powerful question. Who do I want to be today? Notice the difference between that question and asking, what do I have to do today? The first question shapes your identity. The second only focuses on your schedule. Identity always comes before behavior. When you decide to be patient, confident, kind, disciplined, or courageous, your actions naturally begin to reflect those qualities. You don't chase confidence, you practice the habits of a confident person until confidence becomes part of who you are. Many people start their mornings by reaching for their phones. Before their feet even touch the floor, they're scrolling through someone else's life. They compare appearances, careers, relationships, and achievements. Without realizing it, they're allowing strangers to shape their emotions before they've even had a chance to shape their own mindset. Comparison steals peace because it convinces you that you're always behind. Purpose restores peace because it reminds you that your journey is unique. You don't need to compete with someone else's timeline when you're committed to your own growth. Creating a purposeful morning doesn't require hours of free time. It simply requires intention. 5 or 10 minutes spent in quiet reflection can change the direction of an entire day. Some people write in a journal. Others pray, meditate, stretch, read a few pages of an inspiring book, or simply sit in silence and think about what truly matters. These small rituals may seem insignificant, but they train your mind to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting emotionally. They build resilience one morning at a time. Purpose also influences the way you interact with other people. When you know who you are, you don't feel the need to prove yourself in every conversation. You listen more carefully because you're not constantly thinking about what to say next. You celebrate other people's success because their achievements no longer threaten your sense of worth. You become calmer under pressure because your identity isn't tied to temporary circumstances. This quiet confidence is incredibly attractive because it creates emotional safety for everyone around you. There is another reason purpose makes someone more attractive. It shifts the focus from receiving to contributing. Instead of asking, how can I get people to like me? You begin asking, how can I make someone's day better? That single change transforms your relationships. Genuine kindness, sincere encouragement, and thoughtful actions create a presence that people remember long after they've forgotten what you were wearing. Beauty may capture attention for a moment, but character earns respect for a lifetime. Living with purpose doesn't mean every day will be perfect. There will still be setbacks, disappointments, and moments of self-doubt. The difference is that purpose gives those moments meaning. Instead of seeing failure as proof that you're not good enough, you begin to see it as part of your growth. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to become wiser, stronger, and more compassionate. You stop fearing mistakes because you understand they are teachers, not enemies. At the end of the day, attraction isn't about creating a flawless image. It's about becoming a person whose actions consistently reflect their values. Every purposeful morning is like placing another brick in the foundation of your character. One morning may not seem life-changing, but hundreds of purposeful mornings create an extraordinary life. The woman who wakes up each day with intention doesn't become attractive because she tries to impress the world. She becomes attractive because she has learned to lead herself first. And when you lead yourself with clarity, discipline, and purpose, your confidence becomes natural, your presence becomes powerful, and your life begins to inspire everyone fortunate enough to know you. One of the most powerful habits that instantly changes the way people perceive you has nothing to do with your appearance. It has everything to do with the way you communicate. In a world where everyone wants to be heard, the person who truly listens stands out. Many people believe attraction comes from saying the perfect words, telling impressive stories, or constantly proving how intelligent they are. But genuine confidence rarely speaks the loudest. It creates space for others to speak. It understands that listening is not a passive act. It is one of the greatest forms of respect. Think about the people you enjoy being around. Chances are they make you feel important. They don't interrupt every sentence or wait impatiently for their turn to talk. They pay attention. They remember small details. They ask thoughtful questions. They make eye contact. When you leave the conversation, you feel understood rather than judged. That feeling creates a lasting impression because everyone wants to feel seen and valued. Many conversations today are not really conversations at all. They are two people taking turns talking about themselves. While one person is speaking, the other is mentally preparing their next response instead of truly listening. As a result, connection becomes shallow. Real communication begins when your goal shifts from being interesting to being interested. That simple change transforms every relationship in your life. Listening also demonstrates emotional maturity. It shows that you are secure enough not to dominate every discussion. Insecure people often believe they must constantly prove themselves. They interrupt, exaggerate, and seek attention because silence makes them uncomfortable. But confident women understand that silence is not weakness. Sometimes silence is wisdom. It allows people to finish their thoughts, organize their emotions, and feel respected. Another important part of speaking less is choosing your words carefully. Not every opinion needs to be expressed. Not every disagreement requires an argument. Emotional intelligence means knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. There is tremendous strength in responding thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. Words have the power to build trust or destroy it in a matter of seconds. When you speak with intention rather than emotion, people begin to trust what you say because they know your words carry meaning. Listening also helps you learn. Every person you meet knows something you do not know. When you approach conversations with curiosity instead of certainty, you continue growing. Attractive people are lifelong learners. They ask questions because they genuinely want to understand different perspectives. They are not threatened by someone else's knowledge. Instead, they see every conversation as an opportunity to expand their own understanding. This habit also improves your relationships in unexpected ways. Friends feel safer sharing their struggles because they know you won't immediately judge or interrupt them. Family members become more open because they feel heard. Professional relationships become stronger because people appreciate someone who values collaboration over competition. Even strangers respond differently when they sense your genuine attention. Listening builds bridges that words alone never could. Speaking less does not mean becoming quiet all the time or hiding your personality. It means speaking with purpose. Instead of filling every moment with unnecessary words, you learn to communicate clearly, honestly, and kindly. Your confidence no longer depends on how much you say, but on the value of what you contribute. People begin to pay closer attention because they realize that when you speak, your words matter. There is also tremendous freedom in no longer feeling responsible for impressing everyone. Many people carry the exhausting burden of trying to sound perfect, funny, or intelligent in every interaction. But authentic connection isn't created through performance. It is created through presence. When you stop trying to impress people, you become more relaxed, more genuine, and far more enjoyable to be around. Authenticity always outlasts performance. Another benefit of listening is that it helps you understand emotions beneath the words. Sometimes people don't need advice. They need compassion. They don't need solutions immediately. They need someone who is willing to sit with their feelings without rushing to fix everything. This kind of empathy strengthens trust because it communicates your experience matters. People rarely forget those who made them feel emotionally safe. Practicing this habit every day requires patience. It means resisting the urge to interrupt. It means asking one more question before offering your own opinion. It means putting away distractions when someone is speaking. It means paying attention not only to words, but also to tone, facial expressions, and body language. These small acts communicate respect far more effectively than grand speeches ever could. Over time, speaking less and listening more changes your entire presence. You become calmer because you're no longer competing for attention. You become wiser because you're constantly learning from others. You become more compassionate because you understand perspectives beyond your own. Most importantly, you become someone people naturally trust. And trust is one of the most attractive qualities anyone can possess. True attractiveness isn't measured by how many people notice you when you enter a room. It's measured by how people feel after they've spent time with you. When others walk away feeling respected, understood, encouraged, and valued, they remember you. They remember your calmness, your kindness, and your ability to make them feel heard. In a noisy world filled with people desperate to be noticed, the woman who listens with genuine attention becomes unforgettable. Not because she demanded attention, but because she offered something far more valuable. Her presence. One of the most powerful habits a woman can develop is learning to protect her peace by setting healthy boundaries. Many people confuse kindness with constantly saying yes, sacrificing their own well-being, or trying to make everyone happy. But true kindness is never about abandoning yourself. In fact, the people who are the most emotionally healthy understand that boundaries are not walls designed to keep people out. They are guidelines that protect what matters most. They allow you to give your best without losing yourself in the process. Too often, women are taught that being agreeable is the same as being lovable. They feel guilty for saying no, afraid that someone might think they are selfish, rude, or difficult. As a result, they overcommit, overextend, and constantly place other people's needs ahead of their own. They answer every call, solve every problem, and carry responsibilities that were never theirs to begin with. Eventually, exhaustion replaces joy. Resentment replaces kindness. Confidence begins to fade because they are living according to everyone else's expectations instead of their own values. Healthy boundaries begin with a simple realization. Your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being are valuable resources. Just as you would not leave the front door of your home unlocked for anyone to walk in at any time, you should not leave your emotional life completely open to every demand, opinion, or criticism. Protecting your peace is not about isolating yourself. It is about becoming intentional with who and what you allow to influence your life. One of the clearest signs of confidence is the ability to say no without feeling the need to apologize for it. Many people believe they must explain every decision in detail to avoid disappointing others. But emotionally mature individuals understand that a respectful no is often healthier than a reluctant yes. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your priorities, you are unknowingly saying no to something that does. You say no to rest, to personal growth, to your goals, or to the people who genuinely deserve your time. Boundaries also protect your emotional energy. There will always be people who criticize, complain, manipulate, or create unnecessary drama. If you allow every negative opinion to affect your mood, you give other people control over your emotional state. But when you establish healthy boundaries, you recognize that not every comment deserves a response, and not every conflict deserves your participation. Sometimes the strongest response is choosing not to engage at all. This doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent. It means becoming wise about where you invest your attention. Attention is one of your most valuable assets, because whatever receives your attention begins to shape your life. Constant negativity creates anxiety. Constant comparison creates insecurity. Constant conflict creates exhaustion. Protecting your peace means intentionally choosing environments, relationships, and conversations that encourage growth rather than drain your spirit. Another important aspect of healthy boundaries is learning to respect yourself enough to walk away from situations that repeatedly damage your well-being. Whether it's a friendship built on constant criticism, a workplace that ignores your worth, or relationships where your kindness is consistently taken for granted, staying in unhealthy environments out of fear rarely leads to happiness. Courage sometimes means leaving what is familiar in order to create space for something healthier. Many people worry that setting boundaries will make others like them less. The truth is that boundaries reveal the quality of your relationships. People who genuinely care about you may need time to adjust, but they will ultimately respect your limits because they value you as a person. Those who become angry whenever you establish healthy boundaries often benefited from the absence of those boundaries. Their disappointment should not determine your decisions. Protecting your peace also means creating boundaries with yourself. It means limiting habits that steal your joy, whether that's endlessly scrolling through social media, constantly comparing yourself to unrealistic standards, or speaking negatively about yourself. The conversations you have in your own mind shape your confidence more than the opinions of strangers ever could. Learning to replace self-criticism with self-respect is one of the most important boundaries you can establish. There is something deeply attractive about a woman who knows her values and refuses to compromise them simply to gain approval. She doesn't need to prove her worth because she already understands it. She treats others with kindness, but she also treats herself with the same level of respect. She gives generously without allowing herself to be taken for granted. She listens with compassion while recognizing that she is not responsible for fixing every problem she encounters. Over time, these daily decisions create remarkable inner strength. You become less reactive because your peace no longer depends on other people's opinions. You become more focused because your energy is invested in meaningful goals rather than unnecessary distractions. You become more confident because every boundary you honor reinforces the belief that your well-being matters. This quiet self-respect influences the way you walk, speak, and interact with the world. Ultimately, protecting your peace is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of wisdom. You cannot consistently give love, patience, encouragement, and strength to others if you are constantly running on emotional empty. Healthy boundaries ensure that you remain emotionally healthy enough to continue growing, contributing, and living with purpose. The woman who protects her peace doesn't become attractive because she pleases everyone. She becomes attractive because she lives with clarity, self-respect, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing exactly what she will and will not allow into her life. The women who leave a lasting impression are rarely the ones who believe they already know everything. They are the ones who never stop learning. One of the most attractive qualities a person can possess is a genuine commitment to growth. Growth creates confidence because every new skill, every lesson learned, and every challenge overcome reminds you that you are becoming stronger than you were yesterday. It is impossible to remain the same person if you consistently invest in your own development. Day by day, your thinking changes, your habits improve, and eventually your entire life begins to reflect the person you have chosen to become. Many people mistakenly believe that personal growth ends after school or once they achieve a certain level of success. They stop reading, stop asking questions, and stop challenging themselves because they become comfortable with what they already know. Comfort, however, is often the greatest obstacle to growth. While comfort feels safe, it rarely helps you discover your true potential. Growth begins the moment you become willing to step beyond what feels familiar. It begins when you admit that there is always something new to learn. Regardless of your age, experience, or achievements, one of the simplest ways to invest in yourself is to dedicate a small portion of every day to learning. You don't need to spend hours studying. Even 20 or 30 minutes of intentional learning can create extraordinary change over time. Read books that expand your thinking. Listen to educational podcasts during your commute. Watch lectures that challenge your perspective. Learn a new language, develop a professional skill, or explore subjects you've always been curious about. These daily investments may seem small, but knowledge compounds just like interest in a savings account. The more consistently you learn, the greater the long-term rewards. Growth is not limited to gaining information. It also includes developing emotional intelligence. Many intelligent people struggle in relationships because they have never learned how to manage their emotions, communicate effectively, or handle conflict with maturity. True personal development means becoming not only smarter but also wiser. Wisdom allows you to remain calm during stressful situations, patient during difficult conversations, and compassionate toward people whose experiences differ from your own. These qualities create a presence that naturally attracts respect. Another important part of continuous growth is embracing feedback instead of fearing it. Most people become defensive when someone points out their weaknesses. They immediately justify their behavior or reject the criticism entirely. But confident women understand that constructive feedback is not an attack on their identity. It is an opportunity to improve. They ask themselves, is there something valuable I can learn from this? Even if the feedback is delivered imperfectly, they search for the lesson instead of focusing only on the emotion. This mindset transforms setbacks into stepping stones. Growth also requires the courage to make mistakes. Too many people avoid trying new things because they fear failure. They stay in familiar routines, convincing themselves that avoiding mistakes is the safest option. In reality, avoiding failure often means avoiding growth. Every successful person has a history of unsuccessful attempts. The difference is that they refused to let failure define them. They treated each mistake as information rather than evidence of inadequacy. They understood that every challenge revealed another area where they could become stronger. As you continue growing, your confidence becomes less dependent on external validation. You no longer need constant praise because your progress becomes your motivation. You recognize the person you were 6 months ago and appreciate how far you've come. This quiet confidence is deeply attractive because it is rooted in reality. It isn't built on pretending to be perfect. It is built on consistently becoming better. People are naturally drawn to those who demonstrate progress because growth is inspiring. Continuous learning also changes the quality of your conversations. Instead of repeating the same ideas every day, you bring fresh perspectives, thoughtful questions, and meaningful insights. You become someone who contributes value wherever you go. Whether you're speaking with friends, colleagues, or strangers, your curiosity creates engaging discussions. Attractive people don't try to impress others with how much they know. Instead, they remain curious enough to keep learning from everyone they meet. Personal growth also influences your physical well-being. Learning about nutrition encourages healthier choices. Understanding the importance of movement motivates regular exercise. Discovering stress management techniques improves your mental health. Investing in yourself isn't limited to your career or education. It includes caring for your body, your mind, and your emotional health. When these areas improve together, your energy naturally changes. You become more vibrant, more resilient, and more capable of handling life's challenges with grace. One of the greatest benefits of lifelong growth is that it keeps your sense of purpose alive. Every new goal creates fresh excitement. Every skill you develop opens new opportunities. Every book you read introduces ideas that reshape the way you see the world. Life becomes an ongoing adventure instead of a repetitive routine. Rather than fearing change, you begin to welcome it because you trust your ability to adapt and learn. Most importantly, continuous growth teaches humility. The more you learn, the more you realize how much there is still to discover. This humility makes you approachable, open-minded, and respectful of other people's experiences. It replaces arrogance with curiosity and certainty with wisdom. These qualities make relationships stronger because people feel comfortable sharing their ideas without fear of judgment. At the end of the day, the most attractive woman is not the one who has reached perfection. She is the one who refuses to stop becoming a better version of herself. Every page she reads, every lesson she learns, every challenge she overcomes, and every habit she improves comes another step toward the life she truly desires. She understands that beauty may capture someone's attention for a moment, but a mind that continues to grow, a heart that remains teachable, and a character that becomes stronger with each passing day create an influence that lasts a lifetime. Growth is not a destination, it is a daily decision, and that decision has the power to transform not only how the world sees you, but how you see yourself. Kindness is often misunderstood. Many people think kindness means always agreeing with others, never upsetting anyone, or constantly putting everyone else's needs before their own. But genuine kindness is much deeper than that. It is a reflection of strength, not weakness. It is the ability to treat people with dignity and compassion without expecting applause, recognition, or something in return. One of the most attractive qualities a woman can possess is the habit of practicing kindness simply because it aligns with her values, not because she hopes to gain approval from others. In today's world, it is easy to become trapped in the need for validation. Social media encourages people to measure their worth by likes, comments, and compliments. Many acts of generosity are shared publicly, not always because they inspire others, but because people want to be seen as kind. While there is nothing wrong with sharing positive experiences, true character is revealed in the moments that no one else sees. The strongest individuals continue to do the right thing, even when there is no audience. Their kindness is not a performance. It is a habit. Think about the people who have made the greatest impact on your life. It probably wasn't because they had the perfect appearance or the most impressive achievements. It was because of how they made you feel. Perhaps they encouraged you when you doubted yourself, listened without judgment during a difficult time, or offered help when they had nothing to gain. Small moments of genuine compassion often leave a greater impression than grand gestures. People may forget your words, but they rarely forget how you made them feel. Kindness also begins with the way you speak. Words have incredible power. They can heal wounds that have existed for years, or they can create new ones in a matter of seconds. A woman who chooses her words carefully understands that honesty and kindness can exist together. She doesn't use truth as an excuse for cruelty, nor does she avoid difficult conversations out of fear. Instead, she communicates with respect, even when disagreements arise. She knows that confidence does not require putting someone else down. Practicing kindness without seeking approval also means releasing the need to control how others respond. Sometimes you will offer support and it will go unnoticed. Sometimes your generosity will not be appreciated. There will even be moments when your kindness is misunderstood. If your motivation depends entirely on receiving gratitude, disappointment becomes inevitable. But when kindness flows from your character rather than your expectations, other people's reactions lose their power over your emotions. You continue doing good because it reflects who you are, not because it guarantees a reward. Another important part of kindness is learning to celebrate other people's success. Comparison has become one of the greatest obstacles to genuine relationships. Instead of feeling inspired by someone else's achievements, many people feel threatened by them. They assume another person's success somehow diminishes their own opportunities. But confident women understand that life is not a competition. Someone else's victory does not mean your defeat. When you sincerely celebrate another person's progress, you demonstrate emotional security. You recognize that there is enough opportunity, enough joy, and enough success for everyone. Kindness also requires forgiveness. Holding on to anger, resentment, and bitterness may seem like a form of protection, but in reality, it often becomes a prison. Forgiveness does not mean pretending that painful experiences never happened or allowing harmful behavior to continue. It means choosing not to let past hurts control your present peace. The woman who forgives frees herself from carrying unnecessary emotional weight. She understands that peace is more valuable than revenge, and that healing begins when she releases the burden of constant resentment. Equally important is extending kindness toward yourself. Many people are compassionate with everyone except themselves. They encourage friends through failures, but criticize themselves relentlessly for every mistake. They offer patience to strangers while denying themselves the same grace. Real kindness includes the ability to acknowledge your imperfections without allowing them to define your worth. Growth requires honesty, but it also requires compassion. You cannot build lasting confidence on a foundation of constant self-criticism. Practicing daily kindness doesn't require dramatic actions. It can be as simple as offering a sincere compliment, expressing gratitude, holding the door for someone, checking on a friend, encouraging a colleague, or simply giving another person your full attention during a conversation. These seemingly ordinary acts create extraordinary ripple effects. You may never fully realize how much one encouraging sentence changes another person's day, or even their life. One of the remarkable things about kindness is that it influences not only those who receive it, but also those who practice it. Research consistently shows that acts of generosity improve emotional well-being, reduce stress, and strengthen relationships. When kindness becomes a daily habit, it shapes your perspective. You begin noticing opportunities to contribute instead of constantly focusing on what you lack. Gratitude grows. Compassion deepens. Joy becomes easier to experience because your attention shifts from self-centered concerns to meaningful connection. Ultimately, the most attractive people are not remembered because they demanded attention. They are remembered because they consistently gave value to the lives of others. Their kindness made people feel safe, respected, and appreciated. They didn't perform goodness for recognition or applause. They simply chose, day after day, to reflect the values they believed in. That quiet consistency became part of their identity. In the end, beauty may capture someone's attention, intelligence may earn admiration, and success may create opportunities. But kindness builds lasting relationships. It is a quality that never goes out of style and never loses its impact. A woman who practices kindness without seeking approval carries a quiet strength that cannot be manufactured or imitated. She understands that her worth does not depend on how many people notice her goodness. It depends on remaining faithful to her values, even when no one is watching. And that kind of character creates a presence that people admire, trust, and remember long after the moment has passed. There is a kind of confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't seek attention, demand validation, or compete to be noticed. Instead, it quietly fills a room with calmness, authenticity, and self-respect. This is the kind of confidence that leaves a lasting impression because it is rooted in character rather than appearance. One of the most attractive daily habits a woman can develop is learning to carry herself with quiet confidence and unwavering authenticity. It is not about pretending to be perfect or acting as though you have everything figured out. It is about becoming comfortable with who you are while remaining committed to becoming even better. Many people spend years trying to become someone they think the world will admire. They change their personalities depending on who they're with. They hide their opinions to avoid criticism. They dress, speak, and behave according to what they believe will earn acceptance. At first, this may seem like a way to fit in, but over time it becomes exhausting. Constantly wearing a mask requires tremendous energy because you are always trying to maintain an image that isn't fully real. Authenticity, on the other hand, brings freedom. When you stop pretending to be someone else, you finally have the energy to become the best version of yourself. Quiet confidence begins with self-acceptance. This doesn't mean believing you have no flaws. It means recognizing that your imperfections do not determine your worth. Every person has strengths, weaknesses, victories, and struggles. The difference is that emotionally strong women don't allow their weaknesses to define their identity. They acknowledge them honestly, work to improve them, and continue moving forward without allowing self-doubt to control their decisions. They understand that confidence isn't the absence of insecurity. It's the decision not to let insecurity dictate the direction of your life. Another characteristic of quiet confidence is emotional stability. Life is unpredictable. There will always be unexpected challenges, criticism, disappointment, and uncertainty. The woman who carries herself with confidence does not avoid these experiences. Instead, she develops the ability to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. She doesn't allow every negative comment to ruin her day or every setback to convince her that she's incapable. She understands that emotions are real, but they are not always reliable guides for important decisions. By remaining calm under pressure, she creates a sense of peace that naturally influences the people around her. Authenticity also means living according to your values, instead of constantly chasing approval. There will always be people who disagree with your choices, misunderstand your intentions, or criticize your dreams. If you spend your life trying to satisfy everyone, you will eventually lose sight of yourself. Quiet confidence allows you to remain respectful while standing firm in what you believe. It gives you the courage to say, "This is who I am, and these are the values I choose to live by." That kind of integrity cannot be faked because it is demonstrated consistently through daily actions. Body language also plays an important role in communicating confidence. Before you say a single word, people notice how you carry yourself, standing tall, maintaining gentle eye contact, offering a genuine smile, and moving with purpose all communicate self-respect. These behaviors are not about appearing superior. They are expressions of inner security. Likewise, Speaking clearly and calmly shows that you trust your own voice without feeling the need to dominate every conversation. Confident people are comfortable with moments of silence because they know that their worth isn't measured by how much they say. One of the greatest obstacles to authenticity is comparison. The modern world constantly encourages people to measure themselves against carefully edited versions of other people's lives. It becomes easy to believe that everyone else is happier, more successful, or more attractive. But comparison is built on incomplete information. You rarely see the struggles, fears, or failures hidden behind someone else's achievements. The woman who lives authentically understands that comparing her journey to someone else's only distracts her from her own purpose. Instead of competing with others, she focuses on becoming a little stronger, wiser, and kinder than she was yesterday. Quiet confidence also requires humility. Truly confident people don't need to exaggerate their accomplishments or constantly remind others of their abilities. They allow their actions to speak louder than their words. They celebrate others without feeling threatened because they understand that another person's success does not diminish their own value. This humility makes them approachable and trustworthy. People feel comfortable around those who are secure enough to lift others up rather than compete for every moment of attention. Authenticity extends to the choices you make every day. It means wearing what makes you feel comfortable rather than what simply follows trends. It means expressing your thoughts respectfully instead of saying only what others want to hear. It means pursuing goals that align with your passions rather than chasing someone else's definition of success. Living authentically requires courage because it often means standing apart from the crowd. Yet it is precisely this courage that makes someone memorable. People are naturally drawn to individuals who are genuine because authenticity creates trust. Developing quiet confidence is not something that happens overnight. It is built through countless small decisions repeated every day. It grows each time you keep a promise to yourself, speak honestly, establish healthy boundaries, continue learning, show kindness, and choose integrity over convenience. Every positive habit strengthens your belief that you are capable of handling life's challenges. Over time, confidence becomes less about how you feel and more about the person you have consistently become. In the end, true attractiveness is never about being the loudest person in the room or attracting the most attention. It is about possessing a calm strength that others can feel even before you speak. A woman who carries herself with quiet confidence and authenticity inspires trust because she is comfortable in her own skin. She doesn't chase validation because she has built her identity on something far more lasting than public opinion. Her presence communicates peace, her actions reflect integrity, and her character speaks louder than any words ever could. That is the kind of beauty that never fades, because it is rooted not in appearance, but in the enduring strength of who she truly is.